The Sterling Monarch Hotel, an elite landmark in downtown Chicago, was a haven for the city's upper crust. Its polished granite floors gleamed under ornate chandeliers, while a soft melody from a live pianist filled the air. The scent of lilacs from intricately arranged floral bouquets wafted through the grand lobby, where well-heeled guests mingled in tailored attire. Seated on a plush armchair near the concierge, Samantha Grayson sipped a frothy cappuccino. Her designer handbag perched on the armrest. Samantha carried herself with the poise of someone accustomed to privilege. A 26-year-old influencer with a penchant for flaunting her lavish lifestyle, she saw the hotel as an extension of her carefully curated image. Meanwhile, Marcus Bennett, a poised black man in his early 40s, walked through the revolving doors, exuding quiet confidence in a tailored charcoal suit. A seasoned entrepreneur, Marcus had arrived at the Sterling Monarch for a high-stakes meeting regarding an ambitious new project. Clutching a sleek briefcase, he scanned the lobby for a seat. Samantha's gaze landed on Marcus, and her lips curled into a sneer. Turning to her friend, she murmured, loud enough for others to hear, "Looks like they've really lowered the bar here. Is he the new janitor?" Unfazed, Marcus took a seat across the lobby, setting his briefcase on the table in front of him. Samantha wasn't finished. She stood, strutting toward him, her heels clicking against the polished floor. "Excuse me," she said with exaggerated sweetness. "Are you sure you're in the right place? The staff entrance is around the back." Marcus glanced up briefly, his expression composed. "Thank you, but I know exactly where I am." Unwilling to let the matter drop, Samantha continued, her voice louder now. "Well, just making sure. Not everyone here fits the vibe, you know." The tension in the lobby thickened as nearby guests began to take notice. Marcus remained calm, retrieving documents from his briefcase as Samantha lingered. Her next move was calculated. She pretended to trip, spilling her coffee onto his pristine suit jacket. "Oh no," she gasped, a mocking smile tugging at her lips. "Guess you should have dressed for the occasion." Marcus dabbed at the coffee stain with a napkin, his composure unbroken. Guests murmured among themselves, some subtly recording the scene. Samantha, emboldened by his silence, smirked. "Maybe this is a lesson to stick to places that are more suited to your style." A staff member hesitated by the concierge desk, clearly uncomfortable with the escalating scene. Marcus, sensing the growing attention, decided it was time to act. He pulled out his phone and made a brief call, his tone firm yet measured. "Could you come to the lobby? There's something I'd like to address." Samantha arched an eyebrow, her confidence unwavering. "Calling for backup? Smart move." Moments later, Ms. Klein, the hotel's operations director, entered the lobby, her presence commanding attention. She approached Marcus with a warm smile. "Mr. Bennett, I hope you haven't been waiting too long. How can I assist you?" Samantha's smug expression faltered. Her eyes darted between Marcus and Ms. Klein, realization slowly dawning. "Wait," she stammered. "You know him?" Marcus stood, extending a hand to Ms. Klein. "Thank you for coming. I wanted to address something." "This young woman," he said, motioning to Samantha, "has spent the past several minutes making assumptions about me, and has gone out of her way to humiliate me publicly." Samantha's face turned ashen. "No, I didn't mean—" Marcus interrupted, his voice calm but firm. "What she failed to realize is that I'm not just here for a meeting. I'm one of the principal investors in the Sterling Monarch's new expansion." Gasps rippled through the lobby. Samantha's bravado dissolved as whispers filled the room. Guests exchanged wide-eyed glances, and a few even lowered their phones, stunned by the revelation. Miss Klein's expression turned steely. "Ms. Grayson," she said sharply, "the Sterling Monarch prides itself on inclusivity and respect for every guest. Your behavior is inexcusable." I didn't know," Samantha stammered. "I thought he was just—" "Just what?" Marcus asked pointedly. "Someone beneath your notice? Someone you could ridicule for your own amusement? The truth is, it shouldn't matter who I am. Respect shouldn't hinge on someone's title or status." The lobby fell silent, save for the sound of a slow, growing applause. A handful of guests clapped, their approval spreading until the entire room echoed with the sound. Samantha shrank under the weight of the moment, her once confident demeanor reduced to embarrassment. Ms. Klein turned back to Marcus. "Mr. Bennett, I deeply apologize for this incident. Rest assured, we will be taking immediate steps to address this situation." Marcus nodded. "Thank you. My goal isn't retribution. It's to ensure no one else has to experience this." Ms. Klein gestured toward Samantha. "Ms. Grayson, we'll have to ask you to leave the premises. Your future access to the hotel will also be under review." Samantha stumbled over her words, but the decision was final. As she was escorted out, Marcus gathered his belongings, his quiet dignity shining through. Onlookers watched him with admiration, many clearly moved by his poise. As Marcus left the Sterling Monarch, the incident had left a profound impact on everyone who witnessed it. The lesson was clear. Respect isn't dictated by appearances. It's a fundamental right, regardless of who you are or where you come from. As Marcus stepped out of the Sterling Monarch's ornate doors into the crisp evening air, he couldn't help but reflect on the gravity of what had just unfolded. Moments like these were all too familiar in his journey. He had faced countless situations where people's assumptions about him overshadowed his accomplishments, and yet each one carried a unique sting. But tonight was different. Tonight, the lesson wasn't just his to bear. It had been a public reckoning, one that would ripple far beyond the confines of the hotel lobby. The bustling streets of Chicago seemed almost poetic now, with their constant motion and diverse tapestry of people brushing past one another. Each person carried their own story, their own battles, yet how often did anyone pause to truly see someone else? Marcus couldn't help but think that what had happened at the Sterling Monarch was a microcosm of something much larger. A reminder that respect and dignity are not luxuries, but necessities in every interaction. As he strolled toward his car, his phone buzzed with notifications. The incident had clearly gone viral, with several videos from the lobby circulating online. He hesitated for a moment before opening one of the clips. Watching the scene replay through the lens of a bystander was both surreal and humbling. The comments underneath ranged from outrage at Samantha's behavior to admiration for Marcus's composure. "Class act. Handled it like a boss. This is exactly the kind of person I'd want leading a company. She got what she deserved, but the real hero here is his restraint." Marcus sighed, closing the app. He didn't want the moment to become a spectacle. It wasn't about humiliating Samantha. It was about sparking a conversation that too often went ignored. He hoped that, amidst the online chatter, people would take away the right message. Assumptions harm more than just the person they're directed at. They erode the fabric of mutual respect that society depends on. Meanwhile, back at the Sterling Monarch, the staff held an impromptu meeting. The incident had shaken many of them, sparking uncomfortable but necessary conversations about biases and how they handled situations involving guests. Ms. Klein took the lead, her voice steady but resolute. "Today, we witnessed something that shouldn't have happened. Not here, not anywhere. Moving forward, we will be implementing comprehensive training on unconscious bias and inclusivity. This hotel will not just represent luxury. It will represent respect and dignity for all." The staff nodded in agreement, their expressions a mix of shame and determination. They knew that change had to start with them, and while the road ahead might be challenging, they were committed to making the Sterling Monarch a place where everyone felt valued. As for Samantha, she spent the evening replaying the scene in her mind, her embarrassment simmering into something more profound. Sitting in her apartment, she stared at the screen of her laptop, watching herself in the viral clips. The comments were brutal, calling her entitled, ignorant, and worse. Yet what stung most wasn't the public backlash. It was the truth in Marcus's words. She had judged him without knowing a thing about him, without even giving him the courtesy of basic decency. For the first time in years, Samantha found herself questioning the world she had built around her. The endless brunches, designer clothes, and curated social media posts. All of it seemed hollow in the face of her behavior that day. She realized that her actions were a reflection of deeper issues she hadn't addressed. Insecurities masked by arrogance, and a worldview too narrow to accommodate anyone who didn't fit her privileged mold. The next morning, Samantha made a decision. She drafted a handwritten apology to Marcus, knowing it was only the first step, but an essential one. In it, she admitted her wrongs and expressed a desire to learn and do better. While she didn't know if he would accept her apology, she hoped he would see it as genuine. A few days later, Marcus received the letter. He read it carefully, his expression thoughtful. People had often asked him how he managed to stay calm in situations like the one at the hotel. His answer was always the same, because anger alone never solved anything. His life's work was built on resilience, not revenge. While forgiveness wasn't always easy, he understood that growth often began with discomfort. He placed the letter in his briefcase, deciding to respond when the time felt right. For now, there was work to do. The incident had inspired Marcus to accelerate a project he'd been planning, a mentorship program aimed at bridging gaps in understanding and fostering inclusivity in corporate spaces. He envisioned workshops, speaking engagements, and partnerships that would challenge preconceived notions and create pathways for meaningful dialogue. Weeks later, the Sterling Monarch launched its new inclusivity initiative with Marcus as the keynote speaker. In the packed ballroom, guests, staff, and even Samantha sat in silent awe as he shared his story, not just about the hotel incident, but about his journey as a Black entrepreneur navigating a world of barriers and biases. This isn't about one person or one moment, Marcus concluded. It's about recognizing that every choice we make, every word we speak, contributes to the kind of world we create. So, ask yourself, are you building bridges or walls? The audience erupted into applause, a standing ovation that left no doubt about the impact of his words. For Samantha, the moment was bittersweet, a reminder of her misstep, but also a catalyst for her transformation. As Marcus left the stage, he felt a deep sense of purpose. The events at the Sterling Monarch hadn't just been a confrontation. They had been a spark. And with that spark, a fire for change was beginning to burn.